Much of the jewelry to survive from ancient Egypt looks extraordinarily modern. We can imagine wearing it today. The princess Senebtisi lived nearly 4,000 years ago. Her body was found in a nest of coffins adorned with jewelry. On her head, this golden circlet made of 3 separate pieces of gold wire forming chains of loops connected at the back of the head by a simple gold wire fastener. It looks so incredibly modern. Senebtisi also had 98 gold rosettes made of gold foil beaten over a mold. They're like modern sequins found on clothing. They were mostly pierced for attachment, but 13 had small strips of gold on the back of them for attaching them to the cloth. The ancient jewelry is so very stylish. We can imagine Senebtisi wearing these 2 armlets and anklets. They're made of gilded wooden bars with beads of glazed composition ware strung between them. But actually, they have no way of fastening. They were clearly just placed over the wrists and ankles of the deceased princess. She was wearing jewelry into the afterlife. These princesses of ancient Egypt, who lived nearly 4,000 years ago, were buried with jewelry boxes. This one had necklaces, bracelets, anklets, and rings in it. But it also had a mirror, razors, cosmetic containers, and a diadem. At this time, amethyst was particularly fashionable. Amethyst beads together with gold. The girdle has leopard heads. You can see the claws on the anklets and the lions in the bracelets. Very often, the girdles worn by these princesses had cowrie shell beads, these ones made of gold. The cowrie shell was significant in ancient Egypt. The faience woman is wearing a cowrie shell girdle. The cowrie shell is an erotic symbol, a symbol of female fertility and sexuality. Much of the jewelry to survive from ancient Egypt has very typical Egyptian motifs, the symbol of the scarab, the symbol of rebirth. But these princesses living in Egypt around 2000 BC also had jewelry that was inspired by foreign jewelry. This style of jewelry you see here perhaps was inspired by the jewelry of Crete. Certainly we see here the earliest evidence in Egypt for granulation, where tiny gold balls were attached to another gold surface. The ancient Egyptian jewelers became masters of this technique. We see it here on a tiny cylinder, an amulet worn around the neck. The ancient Egyptian princesses adorned their hair or wigs with gold tubes. The princess Sithat-Unet was found with 1,251 of these tubular gold beads to adorn her hair. This is a reconstruction in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Much of the jewelry had protective qualities. The scarab worn on the ring, and these princesses living during Egypt's 12th dynasty, the Middle Kingdom period, wore around their neck pectorals, very much symbols of Egyptian royalty. And in fact, when we look at the motifs, they focus on the pharaoh, the falcon of kingship, the cartouche of the pharaoh himself. In the middle there, we have that symbol of eternity again, millions of years, the figure holding a date palm, a notched palm in each hand. The motifs are very much focusing on royalty, on the might of the pharaoh. The sphinx form, the lion form with the falcon head trampling on the enemies of Egypt, the vulture goddess with wings outstretched. The use of lapis lazuli imported all the way from Badakhshan in Afghanistan. The carnelian, the gold of Egypt. Extraordinarily intricate. These wonderful pectorals are mighty symbols of Egyptian kingship, worn very often by other members of the royal family, and in this case, a princess, celebrating the victories of her father. The hieroglyphs read, Amenemhat, the good God and Lord of the two lands, smites all foreign lands.